X-Men The Last Stand. This movie, every time I think about it, every time I rewatch it, I get so angry. I get so upset. I mean, it's not like this is the worst superhero movie of all time, but it might be one of my least favorite, one of my most hated. It was originally supposed to be directed by Bryan Singer, as he did the first two films, but he left to go make Superman Returns. As if there isn't more reason to hate Bryan Singer. I'm not just talking about his personal life and stuff that we've heard about, but I'm talking about him making Superman Returns and then leaving this third film in the hands of Brett Ratner. Yes, Brett Ratner. He directed X-Men The Last Stand, and I'm going to shit on Brett Ratner. Don't get me wrong. But I also want to give some blame to the writers, Zach Penn and Simon Kinberg, who Simon Kinberg has been involved with the writing and producing of every X-Men movie that we've seen to date. So as many good movies as he's been a part of making, he has to hold the blame for just as many bad ones have been made, because how does that happen when you clearly know what works? In the beginning of this movie, we see a young Professor Xavier and a young Magneto with this horrible de-aging CGI. I mean, I know that this scene is supposed to take place years and years ago, and it makes sense that you want to have these two actors look younger. You can't have them look just as old as they do in present day, but this effects, it just wasn't ready. We weren't ready for such CGI effects. I know it's bold, I know it's brave, I know it's something that I should probably commend this movie for at least attempting. We've seen Marvel use this technology more recently, and it's looked great. It's looked amazing, and I think it's only getting better. But to see it used in 2003, damn, it's kind of laughable. In fact, Xavier looks like an alien in some of these shots. So they go to meet a young Jean Grey who's very powerful. They quickly establish how high her telepathic abilities are. And then we cut to see a young Angel. He is a new mutant that we are introducing in this movie. And you see him as a young boy who is in the bathroom cutting his wings off, only to be found out by his father. This could have been an impactful scene, an emotional scene, a good scene to introduce you to a mutant who is ashamed of who he is and might have some good character arc. Like, this could have been the start of a nice side plot, but it doesn't really amount to anywhere. All this is just a setup to establish that Angel's father is the one who helps create the cure. But before we get to the cure, we get a danger room scene. I have to credit X-Men The Last Stand as the first X-Men movie to show the danger room, something that was always in the animated series that I grew up on. And so, sure, fine, Brett Ratner, you gave me the danger room. But you gave me it in such a half-ass, goofy-ass way. You have Wolverine being nonchalant and not taking it seriously, and the way how he's lighting a cigarette with the fire there, which, how is he doing that if this is all a simulation? It's not even real fire. But you see he's just going around, and Storm is trying to lead the kids, and they're all fighting what we eventually find out to be a Sentinel that you don't see until the very, very end when Colossus throws Wolverine up into the air. He cuts the head off of the Sentinel, which we don't see any of this. We just see the head coming flying at us, and then Wolverine sits down and says, all right, I just got bored, so I ended this. Even though the sequence is supposed to be about the kids learning to rise above and work together and become better fighters, Wolverine just decided to take it upon himself and do this. Why would Wolverine be allowed in this room teaching children again? Mystique has been captured by the government, which makes you go, what the hell happened from the last movie to this one? Magneto goes to free her, and you see that the officers there are shooting them with the cure. They have it in their guns and they're shooting at the mutants. And Mystique even takes a shot for Magneto and gets injected with the cure. She turns human, and you actually see Magneto reject her and say, "Oh, well, you're human now, so see you later." Magneto would never do this. He wouldn't do this with Mystique, especially. I know you want to establish that Magneto doesn't like humans, and so if a mutant turns human, he has that immediate disconnect. But he's had so much history, even in these first two movies, how loyal she's been with him, how she literally just saved his ass. You're telling me that he's just going to leave her there high and dry? He's not going to take her back. He's not going to try to see if he can help her or see if he can reverse it. He's just going to leave her there? Wow. Great, consistent writing with Magneto. He also frees Multiple Man, who is an interesting character, an interesting mutant with interesting powers. The actor is fine enough, but he's really only here for the one scene later on in the movie when he just outsmarts the government who are closing in on what they think is Magneto's lair, but it's really just Multiple Man using multiple versions of himself. And that's really it. That's all you use him for. But he also frees the Juggernaut. Oy vey. Vinnie Jones as the Juggernaut. I think he looks okay, I guess. I mean, the costume, at least it's not fully CGI. At least they try to go practical for the most part. And I, at the time when I saw this in the theater, was excited to see Juggernaut in a movie. And Vinnie Jones, just the idea of casting him as this character, as a villain, makes sense. But we'll get to more of him in a minute. We cut back to the mansion and we see Cyclops. We see Scott Summers so sad and so upset over Jean Grey's death. And it makes sense. It does. It makes sense that he would have taken Jean's death hard, especially because of the way she sacrificed herself at the end of X2, and he never got to really say goodbye to her. And it just, yes, it makes sense that he would take this hard. But to see the way how he wasn't in the danger room helping lead the kids or train the kids, because that's supposed to be his role. He's supposed to be the leader of the X-Men. He's supposed to be second in command just behind Xavier. But you end up seeing him leave the mansion because he just can't take it anymore. And this is bullshit. I know that James Marsden, he only had so much time to film this movie because he left with Bryan Singer to make Superman Returns. And so, again, another reason to be mad at Bryan Singer. He took Cyclops away, and so you have Cyclops go to the same lake where Jean Grey died, and he's being angry, and he's shooting his lasers at the water for whatever reason. And then, all of a sudden, Jean Grey appears. And I watched this with the commentary, and I heard them talk about how they had this elaborate entrance for her, or this resurrection effect for her where she would emerge from the water and all this special effects. But for some reason, they couldn't do it. So that's why you literally, the camera just turns and pans to find Famke Janssen just standing there. But it's like, it's so weird, it's so awkward, it's so anticlimactic. This is a big major character, and she just had a major death, so to bring her back in such a way feels lazy, feels unearned. And you also wonder, why is her hair long again? The last time we saw her, her hair was short. But why address that? Who cares? So she tells Cyclops that she can control his powers, to take his glasses off. He does so. They kiss. As they're kissing, something weird is happening to their faces, and you don't quite know what's going on. Xavier gets a strange feeling. He sends Wolverine and Storm to go check out the area, and they don't find Cyclops. They find his glasses, but they find Jean Grey's body. They bring her back to the mansion, and that's where Xavier explains this alternate personality that is the Phoenix, and how she showed signs of this as a kid, which references the first scene that we saw. And all the way back then, Xavier decided to suppress this alternate personality and to suppress what I assume is the real Jean Grey. This is such a weird explanation. I know in the comic books it's involved with aliens, and you have Jean Grey being affected out in space, and that's how the personality of the Phoenix comes out. I'm not saying that that's the most realistic way to do it, but it certainly makes a lot more sense than the shit we got here. Because not only are you just saying that Jean Grey was destined to be this, that Jean Grey deep down was really an evil person, or was going to succumb to these evil thoughts and these godlike abilities she'd never be able to control. So that is very tragic. But it makes Professor Xavier look like such an asshole, such a dick, that he robbed her of this, that he suppressed her real thoughts, her real feelings. Even Wolverine looks at him and says, "What the fuck, dude? That's messed up." And throughout this whole movie, Xavier just starts being a dick to Wolverine, saying, "You don't know. You can't judge me. I did what I had to do. Blah, blah, blah." I mean, I know he's going to be defensive, but this isn't Xavier. He's a lot more understanding. He's a lot more conscious of things that is right and wrong. And he should have admitted that he was wrong, but he should say it's the only choice he had, or he should have been a lot more sympathetic to Wolverine's thoughts, or to the audience's thoughts of having these opinions of him. Instead, he's defensive. Instead, he's quick to try to shove it in your face, and it makes him unlikable. Wolverine has her alone, which I don't know why they would do that, or why Xavier would do that. She wakes up and she starts to seduce him in a very hot and heavy scene. And Wolverine, we all knew had the hots for her, so of course he's going along with it, until he stops and realizes that Jean, in fact, killed Cyclops. So wait, we're confirming that Cyclops not only died, and not only died this early in the movie, but he died off screen. Again, James Marsden was making another movie, but you couldn't have used the days you had him better than this. Maybe they didn't show his death because they wanted to leave room for a possibility that he would come back. But looking into the future, he never did quite come back in the way that would have satisfied us. And I don't think this story should have been told. The Dark Phoenix, it should never have been told without Cyclops there, without him being a major component, without him being a huge driving force. He's the one who's in love with Jean. He's her husband. He should be the one that's in this spot where Wolverine is. I never was the guy who got angry at Hugh Jackman, or angry that Wolverine was such a main character throughout all these movies because he was as interesting as he was. But this is the one time where I said, no, Wolverine should not be in this spot. He's not in love with Jean Grey, really. He's just attracted to her. Let's be honest. I never looked at them as true loves for each other. And I don't know if this is the Phoenix or if this is Jean Grey that's showing romantic interest in him. But I guess we'll never know because Cyclops is dead. Jean, when she leaves the mansion and she goes to her childhood home that we saw at the beginning. And that's where Magneto finds out about her and that she's out there. I guess he wants to go recruit her as well. Xavier wants to try to bring her back. And so everyone comes here. We get a fight between the Juggernaut and Wolverine, which is the only time these two characters interact. So I guess in that sense, it's a decent fight, but it is pretty random. And in this moment, you see Jean Grey go Super Saiyan almost. Her skin goes gray. She gets angry because Xavier's trying to talk to her, trying to calm her down. She's, of course, angry with him because she now knows that of what he did in suppressing her. So she can't control her emotions. She can't control her anger. She gets all super powered. She even lifts the house that they're in, which shows just how powerful she is, I guess. And then everyone, Magneto, Wolverine, they see Jean Grey basically eviscerate Xavier, turn him into dust. And I always thought this moment was weird because Xavier turns as he's in the air and looks at Wolverine and makes a smile as if, I guess, he knows he's going to die and he's okay with that. Again, this would have been more impactful. This would have been more sad if Xavier had a moment earlier where he was apologetic, where he was upset at himself, where he admitted that he was wrong. So in this moment, maybe this would be him saying, I deserve this, or I'm willing to die because of what I did, and this is the direct cause of it. Other than that, though, it's an awkward moment. It's an awkward death because you not only killed Cyclops, now you're killing Xavier in such a way just to bring emotion out of me. Luckily, Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry sell it with their emotional moment and the wheelchair left by itself. But you also have Magneto, who after he sees Jean kill Xavier, this is somebody who they've been together for years. Xavier's been her mentor. She's looked up to him, and Magneto would have to know this to a certain extent. He sees her kill him, and his first thought is, "Come with me, child. Come with me." I know he's a villain, so he's going to take this opportunity to win and take her. But what in the blue fuck makes Magneto think that he can take Jean Grey in the state that she's in, this Dark Phoenix persona? What makes him think he can control her? He can reason with her, rational with her? She's out of control. If she killed Xavier as easily as she did, she'll kill you, dude, even faster. This movie really makes Magneto look like an idiot and makes some decisions that I still don't understand. Speaking of that, why is Magneto's hideout in the woods? His powers are to control metal. His powers are to manipulate metal. So why in the hell would he pick the woods as a place to hide out? There's nothing out here that he can control. There's nothing out here that he can manipulate or use if anyone finds them, or if anyone sneaks up on them, or even if the government tries to come at them. They're out in the open. They're open for anything. It's dumb. It's more of a reason why I think Brett Ratner and company don't understand this character, don't understand these mutants, but especially Magneto. Compare this Magneto to the Magneto in the last movie in the plastic prison, and how he had that genius plan to break out, and that scene of him breaking out and how awesome and epic that was. Compare that to the stuff that he does here. This isn't the same person. And as I mentioned with Jean Grey, there's a moment where he's trying to tell her what to do, and she gets angry with him and points the cure needles at him and basically says, "I could kill you or I could take you out right now." And he's begging for his life. Idiot! You're an idiot for thinking that you can control this woman. Wolverine somehow finds the hideout because it's in the middle of the woods, probably not hard to find. He's looking at Jean. He still somehow, after seeing her kill Xavier, thinks that he can win her back or just talk to her. And he gets a fight with some random mutant dude, some guy who's shelling out these claws out of his wrist, which is just gross looking. But I guess it's a decent fight for Wolverine. And then you get Magneto, who just throws him across the woods and slams him into every tree and branch possible. Pretty brutal. And I always wondered this. There's a moment where Storm talks to Wolverine and says, "Look, not only is Jean too far gone, you need to stop this, but if you're going to be with the X-Men, with the group, then be with us." And I like that because Storm is somebody who hadn't been used well in the first two movies. Holly Berry, some of it's her fault. She had a horrible line in the first movie with Toad. I'll never forget how awkward. Every time I rewatch that movie, it's the one scene that just does not go well. And then in the second movie, she just lost her accent, and it just I always wonder what the hell happened to it. But this movie, she has the haircut. She has a more prominent role because, well, Xavier and Cyclops are dead. But I also wondered, why doesn't Wolverine show any romantic interest in Storm? I mean, she's hot and she's there. She's one of the few women close to his age that he can date there. He's so busy pining away over Jean Grey, who's a married woman, by the way. And even in this movie, she's evil. But he still never once looks at Storm and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And Storm also has this ongoing feud, I guess, throughout the movie with this character, Callisto, who kind of sort of replaces Mystique as Magneto's right-hand woman. And the two of them constantly go back and forth. But I also want to mention some of these newer characters that are introduced, and I actually do enjoy. Yes, this movie isn't complete, total, and utter trash, although it's pretty close. Beast is a character that they've been trying to introduce or bring into these X-Men movies, and they finally did so here. Kelsey Grammer, who is somebody that if you just told me beforehand, "Hey, Frazier is going to play Beast," I would say, "What? Seriously?" But when you see him in the role, when you see him in makeup, when you hear how he does the voice and how he sounds intelligent, and how when you see him in his office, he is involved with the president and the government meetings going on there. They use him very well. They use him just as well as Beast should be used. And this, honestly, this makeup for Beast is the best Beast makeup that I've seen in any of the X-Men movies, including the later ones. Also, Kitty Pryde is played by Ellen Page, and I like Ellen Page. I like her in this role. She comes off as just a genuine, nice person who means well and wants to do the right things. But I just don't like the story that they have her in, and it's not her fault. She never once comes off unlikable, which is hard to do. But she's involved in a love triangle with Bobby and Rogue, because Bobby and Rogue have been a couple pretty much since the first movie, and you saw that their relationship can only get so far. It can't really be physical because of Rogue's powers, and Bobby's trying to deal with that. This movie, you see that not only is Bobby starting to befriend Kitty Pryde and getting really close to her. In fact, they have that one scene where they're outside and he creates an ice rink for her and creates even skates for them to skate in, and Rogue watches this from the window. And because of this whole cure, yes, all of these plots going on, the Dark Phoenix, Magneto creating the Brotherhood, the new Brotherhood to wage war against the X-Men, which is a huge deal because that's sort of been building since the first movie. You also have a third plot with the cure. So Rogue contemplates taking the cure. In fact, there's a scene where she goes in line and she's about to possibly take it, but then a fight breaks out. Anna Paquin is wasted in this third movie. I know that a lot of people don't love her as Rogue because she doesn't quite bring out the Rogue personality that you know from the cartoon especially. Rogue is very outgoing and very spunky and has the accent and is just more memorable. And I know that the movies wanted to play her as a lot younger, a lot vulnerable, and people didn't like that, but I was okay with it. I liked what they were doing with Rogue. Sure, I admit that she's not traditional Rogue, but I still liked her Rogue, and I wanted this third movie to be the movie where she got to shine, where she got to maybe come into that personality, where she got to come into her own, but she doesn't. She's barely in this movie, in fact. So we cut to Magneto, who has, I admit, a pretty cool scene of lifting the Golden Gate Bridge. He lifts it to the island where they're all trying to get to this mutant who is the source of the cure. And as they go there, that's when the X-Men show up, and that's when the fight against the Brotherhood starts. And the beginning of the fight, you see Magneto. He tells his first round of mutants to go out there and fight. And then he says to Pyro, "You always send the pawns first." Once again, no, Brett Ratner. Magneto would not say this. Magneto does not think of mutants as pawns, no matter who they are. He looks at mutants as equal. He looks at them as we're all one equal race who needs to rise above. He wouldn't look at them as pawns or underlings or expendable people to get killed off or done away with. This is bullshit. Oh man, Ian McKellen he's forced to say some of these horrible, horrible lines. You get some moments of like Bobby versus Pyro, which I guess is something that has been building up, especially in the last movie, because Pyro and him were close friends, but then Pyro left to join Magneto, and I feel like this payoff didn't really go anywhere. It seemed wasted. It seemed like we could have had a lot more stakes. One of these kids who left the school and maybe knows some things, knows some of their weaknesses, or uses that to his advantage. Not really. The only good moment that this gives us is we finally see Bobby turn into full-blown Iceman, but it's for like, what, 10 seconds? What a waste. Thank God he came back in Days of Future Past, and we saw a lot more cool stuff with him. And we see Angel come back. Remember Angel? Yeah, well, we got that scene of him at the beginning of the movie, like I said, when he was a kid. And then you got another scene with him where his father tried to inject him with the cure, and he rejected it. He didn't want it. He freaked out, and he ran out of the office and flew out the window, and then that was really it. And so he comes back here because his father's at this island, and he's about to get killed by mutants and thrown out of a window, and then he shows up to save his father and then just fly away. That's the arc. That's the story that Angel was given in this movie. Angel, one of the founding members of the X-Men group in the comics, the original 5 members, and this is what they decided to do with him. I mean, if this is all you had planned, you might as well have not brought the character in. You might as well have just not even bothered. You could have done more stuff with some of these other characters, or you could have just brought in another character like Gambit and given him something to do. This scene with the Juggernaut, I mean, I can't ignore it. I can't pretend like it doesn't exist. Kitty Pryde goes into the facility and she's trying to save the mutant who everyone is trying to kill. And as she's doing so, the Juggernaut runs after her, and because he's so powerful, he's chasing them, and he's running into walls, and he's destroying things. And then you get a moment where Kitty Pryde grabs him, uses her powers to sunk him into the floor, and he looks up at her and he says, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" And I know in the theater, many people laughed. Many people thought this was very amusing and comical. And I know that some people probably like the line. I hate it, though. I hate it because not only is it juvenile, dumb humor from Brett Ratner, another reason to hate this guy and be mad that he was trusted with this franchise, but the whole reason why this line is here, the whole reason why the Juggernaut is as goofy as he is because somebody on YouTube, the video's still out there as we speak, where they took scenes from the animated series and they redubbed it with people talking over them, and they're cursing and they're swearing and they're doing all of these lines that are silly and that are comical. And I admit, as a parody, it's fun to watch. Brett Ratner saw this and said, "Oh, I should use this in the movie. The same exact line. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. I'm just going to take that directly and put that in this film." It's horrible. It's horrible. Just, it should have stayed on YouTube where it belonged. During this fight, you see that Magneto gets injected with the cure, and I like Ian McKellen's reaction to this, his horrified look. I'm one of them. Like it's very overdramatic and over the top, but you saw how much it meant to him to see another mutant get cured. He rejected Mystique for it. In fact, there was a moment earlier where they showed Mystique at this government facility giving away Magneto's information, and they talk about a woman scorned, and so she got revenge on him. How lazy and how lame is this outcome for Mystique? Magneto, like I said, he's injected with the cure. He's all upset. And then Jean Grey wakes up from her coma. She wasn't really in a coma, but she was there. She was present. She was standing next to Magneto almost this whole entire time as everyone was fighting, as everyone was doing battle, and like, I don't know what, a half hour goes by of this battle, and she just stands there and doesn't do anything. So she finally wakes up and decides, I'm just going to kill everyone. And she literally starts turning people into dust. Mutants, soldiers, officials, anybody who's in her way. And that's when Magneto looks up at her and says, "What have I done?" Hello? Think, McFly. Of course this was a dumb idea. Anyone could have told you that bringing Jean Grey as the Phoenix into your group when you couldn't have controlled her, what did you expect her to do anyways? Didn't you bring her there to be a powerful force, to actually start killing some people? So when she starts doing so, you're surprised and you don't know how to react to it? Idiot! These writers, Brett Ratner, you suck! Wolverine, because he can't be stopped though, he just walks right up to her. You get shots of his skin breaking away and reforming, which this is the most overpowered Wolverine I've ever seen. He's just at another Omega level. And like, I know Wolverine is powerful. I know he's a very strong mutant, but this is at another level. This is like nothing can stop this dude. But okay, you want to make him be the guy, the only one that could stop her. He goes up to her. He tells her that he loves her, and then he kills her. He rams his claws into her stomach, and he cries out as she dies. And again, this is supposed to be this big epic love story. This is supposed to be this big dramatic moment where the hero kills the woman that he loves. But again, I never bought these two as true loves. I never bought them as this true love story that was never meant to be and that we got robbed from us. No, this just felt like a woman that Wolverine liked and that would flirt with and that he wanted to hook up with, but it was never meant to be, and it was playful banter. That's all I really took it up as. And this movie really tries to hit it home. At least Hugh Jackman sells it. At least Hugh Jackman, his performance makes you buy that there's a bunch of history between these two that I just missed and wasn't aware of. Who knows? Maybe there are scenes from the first two movies where these two have had a long affair and have been hooking up behind Cyclops' back. Poor Cyclops. He gets killed and doesn't even find out that his wife was cheating on him with Wolverine. So after this happens, the battle just ends. And then some time passes, and there's literally dialogue, voiceover, that says, "So mutants were given their rights back." Huh? You mean after this battle, after Magneto launching a war, after him lifting the Golden Gate Bridge, after him killing as many officials as were killed at that facility, after Jean Grey unleashing holy hell onto the earth, you're telling me that the president just said, all right, we're going to give the mutants their rights. Why? Why would he do that? Why would he do that? If anything, this is more reason for humans to say, fuck that shit. Never again are you guys going to be equal, or are we going to be cool with this? No, we're going to make sure you guys lose more rights. This is just a force-fed way to make it seem like a happy ending without any real logic, without any real explanation or progression or build-up. At least the end of the second X-Men movie showed Xavier and the mutants physically go to the Oval Office and have a conversation with the president and convince him and talk to him. At least that was there. Also, we get a scene of Rogue telling Bobby that she took the cure and that she did it for herself, which is bullshit. It's clear that she did it for him. Even he's not happy about it, which I think he represents the fans. She grabs his hand, and that's how you know that, oh, wow, yay, they'll get to have sex. Because that's what I really cared about. There is an alternate version of this scene where Rogue tells him that she didn't take the cure and that she is okay with herself. I can't believe they shot this scene both ways. That there's a version of this scene where Rogue doesn't take the cure and actually becomes confident in herself and is okay with her powers and just being herself. And they decided not to go with that. They decided not to go with the more character progression, the more scene that makes more sense for her character. No, why would we want to do that? No, let's just have this cliched, dumb love story that no one really cared about, especially in this movie. And we get a shot of Magneto. He's at the park playing chess. And I know Ian McKellen is an older man, but for some reason when he was in the Magneto costume, when he had the helmet on, you bought him as this imposing villain. When you see him as just a regular dude in regular clothes, he really does look like grumpy old men. And so you kind of go, oh, wow, yeah, he is an old guy, huh? And then you get this slight moment where he moves his hand up to the chess piece, and the chess piece moves ever so slightly. I mean, you almost, if you blink, you miss it. I do think that's a cool shot because at least that leaves the door open for the possibility to move forward, and you're saying that the cure isn't forever. But we never move past this, really. The first movie that was forward in time after this was The Wolverine, which was just about him. And then X-Men Days of Future Past, yeah, we saw future stuff, but it was so far in the future that you never saw how we got from the end of this to where that world ended up. So ultimately, this cliffhanger and a lot of these character progressions mean nothing. It meant nothing. And this pisses me off. This movie pisses me off. Is it the worst X-Men movie ever? I guess not. I guess there are worse. But this is the one that pisses me off the most. This is the one that gets me the most upset every time I rewatch it, every time I think about it. Hell, we have to credit this movie as the first Marvel movie to have a post-credit scene. Because you get a scene where Moira McTaggart, she's this doctor that's taking care of this guy who's in a coma, and as she's helping him, he speaks, but he has Xavier's voice, which I guess is supposed to imply that Xavier's consciousness was moved into this body. And I think there's a moment earlier in the movie where they establish that it's his twin brother. Holy fuck! So you purposely had this death of Xavier in here, already knowing that you were just going to undo it by putting him into a twin brother's body to, I guess, explain why, if there was another movie, where he would show up in. It's just it undoes everything. Even if you did have an emotional feeling towards the death, it's undone in the very same movie. So guys, I hate X-Men The Last Stand, obviously. I hate Brett Ratner for making this movie. I hate a lot of the writing and the choices and the decisions that led into the many moments that I hate the most here. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this film? Do you agree or do you disagree that this movie is horrible? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!